T-shirt, sweatshirt. It's January. Let's wear a T-shirt. Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees. We're back in the off season. Now, last episode I was kind of stuffing my face with a lot of Brazilian and Portuguese food. We didn't really get too much into the Garrit Cole signing, even though that was like the big news. We'll get into that as well. Some of the Yankees moves, recently, truly some arbitration pickups with guys like Judge and Gary Sanchez. I had a feeling that the Yankees wanted to keep those guys, so we'll get into all that, as well as look back at some forgotten Yankees. It's going to be Yankees where you're like, oh yeah, I remember that guy. So the Yankees land the big fish, Garrit Cole. 9 years, $324 million, the fourth largest contract in baseball history. And not really surprised. I meant all the rhetoric that, they were going to get Cole the whole way. So it's not like a situation where they're like, you think we're going to get this guy? I meant the Yankee fans wanted it. Cashman more or less said they were going to go after him. Cole wanted it. So it was just going to be a matter of money and, who were they up against? Seemed like they were against the Angels. The Angels were offering 8 years, so the Yankees had to go with the 9th year on it. At that point, you're like, whatever. You're talking like, $300 or $400 million at that point. At that point, it doesn't make a difference. And again, originally, I wasn't totally for the deal beforehand. Again, I thought maybe, go for something like a Madison Bumgarner, get less years, less money, not as long a commitment. But the more I think about the deal, actually, I like it more and more. 29 years old. I mean, if you're going to give someone like an 8 or 9 year deal, that's when you do it. And, you look at his body type, he's not like a CC Sabathia. We have to worry about, like, his body, like, starting to break down after, like, the 56th season. Seems like a pretty healthy guy. And even we've seen some other long-term contracts really work out for your players. Like Matt Scherzer has been great with the Washington Nationals. Justin Verlander, even though he got nicked up a little bit in the playoffs. So the idea that, just because a player now is 38, 39, he can't be good anymore. I mean, we've seen a lot of these pitches, be able to pitch long, and there's no reason why Cole can't be like that as well. All right, maybe his fastball's not going to be there at some point, but as he gets older, he's going to learn little different things and so forth. So overall, good deal for the Yankees, and he's the ace they needed. I mean, they've been looking for this guy for years. We thought Severino might be that guy this season, but obviously he had some setbacks. Severino still might be a player like that, a couple more years to come, but now it kind of takes the pressure off him. You can slot him number 2. You could put Paxton as your number 3. Tanaka is still a great, crafty pitcher. He's your number 4. And J. Happ kind of logging around still as your number 5. I mean, if J. Happ's your number 5th starter, I mean, that's probably better than a lot of teams, 3rd or 4th starter. So Yankee rotation is going to be strong. And again, you got a guy like Garrit Cole now that for these big playoff games can go out there in game 1 dominate 7 or 8 innings. And that's, again, what's the Yankees been missing since the resurgence in 2017. So they got the guy, Cole. At a fantastic, I mean, if you're going to go be a free agent, I mean, this is the season to do it. You went 20-5, ERA of like 2.5. Didn't lose a game like the second half of the season. I think his last loss was like in June or something like that. So came in, was money. Okay, yeah, he didn't win in the World Series. That's fine. He's going to get an opportunity with the Yankees. Again, great move. They got the big guy they wanted. And the only problem with Cole now, he's going to have this is clip a year. He has to cut his hair. He's going to have to shave a little bit. He's going to be cleaned up. Is that like Samson now? Or are you going to take away his power? Probably not. I think he's going to be fine with the Yankees. I think he's going to fit in well. And I think, deep down, he wanted this to happen. You see the pictures of him being a Yankee fan. He was like, 10 years old, holding up the Yankee sign. And the Yankees originally drafted him a couple of years ago. He opted to, go play college instead. The Yankees last offseason maybe were kicking the tires on him, but of course that would have required a trade with Clint Frazier. So, the Yankees have been going after him for a while, and it took $324 million, but the Yanks finally landed him. Now, the deal does include an opt-out after the 5th year, so could be good for both sides. I mean, for the Yankees as well. So let's say, Cole's pitching. Obviously, it's an opportunity for Cole could opt out and even get a bigger contract at the time. So there's going to be an incentive there to do well. So if he's doing well, that's good for the Yankees. And for the most part, if the Yankees, let's just say, he's kind of ho-hum a little bit. And if he does well and the Yankees, it's not too hot on him for whatever reason after the 5th season, well, if he wants to part ways, the Yankees say, all right, give us 5 good years, goodbye. So there is the opt-out there. It benefits both sides. Now, the same thing happened with Aroldis Chapman. Again, he had a 5-year deal with a 3rd-year opt-out, and everyone thought this season he might want to opt out and try to get a big deal, but he didn't. He kind of stayed. So sometimes the players stay, sometimes they go. CC, same deal. He had an opportunity to opt out. He kind of did, but then the Yankees renegotiated to keep him in their pinstripe. So he's going to be a Yankee for a while. Now, he's number 45 in pitchers. I mean, baseball players in general, but pitchers are very superstitious. So Luke Voigt, hats off to him right away. Luke Voigt was 45, Cole was 45, so Luke Voigt was like, as soon as they now signed, like Voigt literally ripped the jersey off his back. Yeah, fine, take it. So for this season, Cole's going to be 45, and now Luke Voigt, he's just going to move up about 14 points. He's now number 59. And the Yankees are going to need a starter because they're going to be down one. Domingo Germán, the ruling finally came down. Remember last offseason, they actually took a leave from the team with a domestic abuse allegation. Well, they investigated. They came down the ruling. He's going to be suspended for 81 games. So, the Yankees kind of need a starter. So, go get Cole. I think they would have signed Cole anyway. But we didn't get to the details. But obviously, a domestic dispute with him and his girlfriend. I'm assuming some violence happened. So. MLB stepped in. That's the ruling. So he's going to be gone for half the season. And now maybe he could come back in the second half. Again, obviously you don't want to overlook the domestic dispute thing like that. But if you just want to look at it just in terms of on-field baseball, he could come back with a fresh arm. Again, he was like a 20-game type of winner for the Yankees last season. But they did the right thing. I guess show example. They kept him off the postseason roster and anything like that. That was the right thing to do, not to get into social political things. So he will be back. Again, it won't be until about July, August, and now you have a fresh arm. Someone might go down. Let's say Happ goes down, or Tanaka goes down, or if you have a guy like that, you can just put it in the bullpen and just be a long relief guy. But Germán, we'll see you like trade deadline maybe. Now you also have Jordan Montgomery in the mix. Now he missed most of last season for the Yankees, but did come back at the end of the year. But now that's an arm that's going to be there in spring training. Not someone I think is going to be able to compete for a starting job unless someone goes down, so you don't want to see that happen. But he's there floating around. But of all the starters, the 5 starters, it probably makes J. Happ more expendable in that case. I mean, signing him for a multi-year deal last season, a little bit of a disappointment, actually kind of a big disappointment. So that's a situation where maybe the Yankees want to move his money, get him out of here, and you slot Montgomery as the 5th starter. Now, I don't think you would see any sort of trade move or thing like that in spring training, but maybe by the deadline. Just depends how Happ's season goes. Even if he's doing kind of well, but not well, maybe some team will be willing to eat that money as well as the Yankees might have to send a couple of prospects. But then if you could ship him and that contract out, and if Montgomery's doing well in AAA, you could have him as your 5th starter, and you got a guy you're paying virtually nothing. Now the other big name pitcher out there was Steven Strasburg from the Nationals. He got 7 years, 245 to go back to Washington. But I don't think the Yankees really had any strong interest in him. I'm sure they reached out and talked, but. Of the two pitchers, of course, Cole's the better, more supreme pitcher. I would rather have Cole. So they got with Strasburg. All right, he's just coming off a World Series win, but has a lot, bad history with injury and stuff like that. And even though he's been a little better lately in the later years, that's not someone I would want to give a long-term deal. So Strasburg, go enjoy Washington. I'm happy the Yankees got Cole. And Cashman's been handing out the cash this offseason. Yes, he paid out for Cole. Yes, kept keeping Chapman. But Brett Gardner now was last season going to be the last season? No, he's coming back. So 36-year-old, he's coming back for his 13th season as a New York Yankee. Signed a 1-year deal, for $12.5 million. Now includes a $10 million option for 2021 if the Yankees want to retain him, or they can just buy him out for $2.5 million. So good for Brett Gardner, and kind of made it was a no-brainer. I mean, he hit a career high 28 home runs, had a career high .829 OPS. On base plus slugging, if you want to get into stats like that. Long story short, he had an awesome season. Now, you might say, well, why the home run surge? Where'd that come from? Well, according to a story in the New York Times, he changed the launch degree on his swing, had the biggest increase of anyone in 2019, went from 8.4 to 13.6. So basically, the conspiracy theory, well, these players are all swinging for home runs in the fences. Well, you know what? They kind of are. So, and it makes sense. Gardner took a swing, went uppercut more, and hit 28 home runs. So, and that's what a lot of these players are doing, like Judge and Stanton and all that stuff. So that's why you're seeing a ton of home runs and not as much hitting. But again, good for Brett Gardner. He'll be around for another season, and totally makes sense. I mean, Aaron Hicks, he's going to be missed the first half of the season with the Tommy John surgery. Yeah, Hicks came back in the playoffs and hit a nice big 3-run home run with Jeff Verlander, but he needed surgery, and same like Didi last season, he was gone for half the season. So you're going to need a solid center fielder, and who's better than Brett Gardner? And as for the kitty Yankees, as you would call them, a lot of them, settle on 1-year deals to avoid arbitration. Include players like Gary Sanchez, Aaron Judge. I had a feeling the Yankees would want to keep him, so Aaron Judge will make a whopping $8.5 million. But also some of the other, key parts of the Yankees: Gio Urshela, Chad Green, Tommy Kahnle, Jordan Montgomery, even Luis Cessa. Now, Luis Cessa mostly been a failure for the Yankees for the most part. They tried to make him a starter, just hasn't panned out. And last season he was on his last option, so if they canned him after that, he was going to be gone. But he actually, had a pretty good season for the Yankees. Useful as a long reliever. So, sometimes it takes a while to find your niche. You just don't know what type of, are you going to be a starter? Are you going to be a good closer? In terms of him, he's a good mop-up guy, and you kind of need a guy like that, especially in this day and age, especially this Yankee offense. I mean, the Yankees could be down big, by 4 or 5 runs. Well, if you put him in there, just hold down the fort, and it's like, next thing you know, like Judge or someone just hits a grand slam, the Yankees are right back in the game. So good for Sessa, good bounce back. He comes back, but it goes to show that soon enough the Yankees are going to have to start paying some of these guys some big money, and then the Yankees are going to have to make some tough choices like they did with Didi, and we'll get into that in a second. Now with Judge, it's funny. Again, the face of the team, one of the best players in the game, only gets $8.5 million. Now, how it works with the arbitration, and we kind of discussed this last offseason. Basically, you could either take an offer by a team, it's usually a 1-year deal, or you can go to arbiter, and basically there's a judgment on what you're actually worth. So sometimes you want to go through that and make a few more bucks, or you figure, you know what, I'm probably not going to get more than what the team's going to offer me. I'll just take their offer. So with Judge, now it's funny enough that he missed so much time last season because, again, the Yankees, like 80% of the team was pretty much on the DL for most of the season. Judge didn't have an opportunity to really, put up big stats. So it almost benefits the team that he was hurt last season, as crazy as that sounds. And when you're in that situation, your front office actually knocks you and say, well, you're not a good player, well, you're not worth it. So it almost benefited the Yankees that Judge was out that for so much time. So, but they took care of all that, and it's good that no arbitration because those can get ugly and stuff like that. It's business is business. But again, the Yankees is doling out a lot of cash. And unfortunately, not everyone could have stayed. Now, as we mentioned last episode with Didi Gregorius, he went bye-bye, joined the Phillies for a 1-year deal for $14 million. And, you kind of felt it was going to happen. I don't think, again, if you could put Gleyber Torres, who you're paying nothing at shortstop, and move DJ to second, there's no reason to pay a lot of money for Didi, even though they love Didi and they can use their left-handed bat. But, it's only a 1-year deal, so possibly in the future he could always come back. For example, DJ LeMay, who's on his last year of his deal, well, let's say he cashes out, wants to go somewhere else. You can then put Torres back at second base and then re-sign Didi, who's still a young man. He's only like 29, 30 years old. So giving him a 5-year deal next year is not really a crazy thing. And it's good for Didi. Go down to Philadelphia. He rejoins Joe Girardi. They seem to have a good relationship. And he kind of established himself again. If you look at his 2019 stats, wasn't that great. Dipped a little bit. Kind of struggled a little bit. But again, he was coming back from the Tommy John surgery. So, maybe just needs a little more recuperating time. You go down to Philadelphia, that, Citizens Bank Ballpark's a bandbox. He'll probably crush like 30, 35 home runs, reestablish himself, and either he might want to stay down there, or maybe there's an opportunity the Yankees could get him back for 2021. And they also had to say goodbye to Austin Romine, which 2 episodes ago, the first offseason when I kind of said it was going to happen. 1-year deal for $4 million to the Tigers, Detroit. But again, good for him because he was kind of being held back a little bit with the Yankees. Again, he's probably a starter. He was a starter on most teams, so the Yankees had a luxury by having him. But you don't want a guy with that much talent being held down to just being a part-time player. So he goes down to the Tigers, and it's not obviously between Sanchez and Romine. You keep Sanchez, even though Romine got the little better defense in terms of receiving the ball. But still, they had to say goodbye to Romine. So he goes. You can't pay a backup catcher more than $4 or $5 million. That's kind of ridiculous. You usually pay a backup catcher like $1 million or nothing, or use a rookie like that. So he's gone. He's goodbye. But again, with it, only a 1-year deal. So in the future, maybe he could come back. But again, good for him. Congratulations. I hope he has a good season for the Tigers. Tigers aren't going to really be a threat to the Yankees, so if he does well, it doesn't matter. But the more surprising one is Dellin Betances bolting for the Mets of all teams. The Mets, they actually really needed a guy like him because their bullpen is just horrible. So it might be the closer there. Who knows? Turns out, so good for him in that regard. But kind of a funny thing with Betances, it was, I kind of felt they would keep him just because, again, he came up through the Yankee farm system. They liked him. But again, you can only pay certain players so much. Now, you got $10.5 million from the Mets, 1-year deal only. Now, I think a lot of it had to do with, look, how much are you going to pay for, a 7th inning guy? I mean, you're already paying Chapman a lot of money as a closer. You're paying Britton a lot of money already as an 8th inning guy. Are you going to pay closer-type money now for, a 6th, 7th inning guy when you have pitchers like Canely or you have Chad Green out there as well, able to get big outs? So it's a situation where I just felt like they kind of valued him. They valued, what inning he would come out of would only be a 7th, 6th, or 7th inning. Do you pay a 7th inning guy, $10 or $12 million. So I think that had a lot to do with it. And I think also had a lot to do with his health. And again, he ended last season partially torn Achilles. Just for that one game he came in against the Toronto, so obviously he was out, not available for the playoffs at all. And again, maybe they figure, all right, do we want to invest this much money in this guy where who knows if that Achilles is going to hold up? Now, according to Betances, he says he's going to be fine. He's going to be there for spring training for the Mets. So hopefully it works out for him. Again, you don't want to see a player get hurt, even though he's playing for the Mets. But, same thing with, with Didi and Austin Romine. It's only a 1-year deal, so sometime down the road, could he come back as a Yankee? Maybe. Now that Austin Romine's departed as backup catcher, now next in line will be Kyle Higashioka. Now I think obviously they're not going to hand it to him on a plate, so they want to create a little competition just so he doesn't get like lackadaisical. So the Yankees did sign Chris Iannetta from the Colorado Rockies, 37 years old. And I mean, Chris Iannetta, you kind of look, it's like you're playing a PlayStation game like 10, 12 years ago that name pops up. So he's still around baseball, serviceable. I just think it's, they signed him on a 1-year deal for a minor league deal. I just think it's just to create a little competition for Kyle. Should be Kyle's job. Again, when he played for the Yankees last season, even when Romine was hurt, he was fine for the Yankees. Not the strongest catcher in the world, but serviceable, decent amount of hitter. So it should be his job. But Iannetta's poking around, and I think a lot of Iannetta's power, pretty much had to do with him being Colorado. Is he gonna, and plus 37 years old, and really, what are you doing? We'll see what happens. But again, it's gonna be Kyle's job. But forget about Cole, forget about Brett Gardner, forget about the arbitration, Judges, Sanchez. The big re-signing for the Yankees. I mean, the big re-signing for the New York Yankees has been a 1-year returning contract for both John Sterling and Susan Waldman. Yes, they were coming back. Are you shocked? Are you surprised? They do it that way. They just do it 1 year at a time, I guess. Sterling's in his early 80s, Waldman's like in the 70s, so kind of take it 1 year at a time. But yes, they will be back calling Yankee games. Don't worry. And Aaron Boone announced that Miguel Andujar will be available for spring training. Yes, remember that guy, Miguel Andujar? So it's going to be interesting now at third base. Of course, Gio Urshela there for last season for the Yankees was fabulous. Gold Glove type caliber defense, as well as a pretty damn good hit and some surprising pop. It's going to be interesting how this pans out. Now, Andujar has to sort of reestablish himself a little bit, so there's going to be some motivation there. But, these things always work themselves out. Someone always gets hurt or someone always goes down. And again, Urshela does have the ability, does play other positions. So let's say if something, God forbid, happens at shortstop, you can have Urshela there move over. We don't want anything to happen to Gleyber Torres. I'm just saying, but it's good to have the option. And again, or if maybe by trade deadline, if Andujar does establish stuff as a dangerous hitter, which he did, in 2018. Man, that's a valuable blue chip. Then you can trade off and get a big piece back. So he'll be back, and I think he'll be a good hitter. He's never going to be the defender Urshela is. So of the two of them, if it ever works out, it comes a decision. I'd rather have Gio or Urshela. But then there's always the case. Well, did Urshela just have a freak season, and maybe he's just not going to live up to that in 2020? That could happen as well. Maybe he just falls off the face of the earth. So great, we have Andujar. So we'll see how it plays out. But Andujar will be back. Now in 2020, we have little new rules in terms of how a baseball manager is going to handle their pitches. The rules go into effect now that a pitcher has to face a minimum of 3 batters or be the one who closes out an inning. Now I think this is a terrible idea for baseball, but of course a lot of it is to quicken the game up. And now again, some of these managers do go overboard with the pitching changes, which I can understand in the regular season is kind of annoying. Makes more sense in playoffs because there's more strategy involved. But in the regular season, some of these you see like 1,500 pitching changes made during the game, and I think they feel people just like clicking off and not watching. I understand that, but it's not baseball. I mean, baseball. What if a pitcher comes out there and just doesn't have it and they can't throw a strike and now ruins a game? I mean, at least you have an option where it was beforehand where a pitcher comes out, you doesn't have it, you can yank him out right away. Now he has to face a minimum of 3 batters. I mean, games could be blown left and right. So I think this is terrible for baseball. The players hate it. The players' union hate it. But of course, it's all about money. It's all about the TV. It's about to make the game quicker. But look, baseball is never going to be football. It's never going to be basketball in the ratings. It's just that's the way the game is. And it's just yet another benefit of having someone like a Garrit Cole who give you 7 to 8 innings and then give the bullpen guys a night off. Just with these new rules, it's going to be hard to rest some of these bullpen guys or let them go consecutive days. So if you have someone like Garrit Cole, maybe give you 7th inning or go 8 innings. Kind of gives the rest of the guys a breather where you only need maybe Britton and Chapman that night. And again, it just adds the value set because for the past couple of seasons, typically Yankee starters would barely go 5-6 innings, and then you're asking your bullpen, even though the Yankees have a great bullpen, very deep and very lengthy, asking them to get 9-12 outs every single night, taxes the bullpen. Now with someone like Cole, where now you give the rest of the guys a break, and let's say they get on a roll, Paxton gets on a roll, and he's doing well for a while. When you have guys like that could give you 6-7 good innings, it's going to be very valuable to the rest of the bullpen, especially with these new silly, stupid bullpen rules. Terrible rules. And some real kind of annoying news for the Yankees. Now, Joe Maddon, who used to be a thorn in the Yankees side when he was manager of the Tampa Bay, well, he moved to Chicago a couple of years ago, so he was kind of gone in the NL, but now he's back in the AL and to the Angels. Now, the Angels have kind of been quiet for the past couple of seasons, but traditionally, Angels always a thorn in the Yankees side. Maddon, when he was with Tampa, a thorn in the Yankees side. Now you combine that, and now you have a West Coast thorn in the Yankees side. Now, Angels roster, it's still not up to par yet, But again, he's going to turn that franchise around. So probably, as Houston, I think is going to start fading away, especially all this, cheating stuff, scandal. Who knows what's going to come out after that? Might be an opportunity where now the Angels take a little leap up, and now you might see a renewed sort of Angels-Yankees rivalry like we had in the 2000s. Now this season, you're going to notice the Nike logo on the Yankee jersey, which it's terrible. It's a disgrace. I mean, George Steinbrenner has to be rolling his grave over that one. But it was part of the whole issue about selling the jerseys at some of these local shops here. They all worked it out. Now, I'm very against touching the sacred Yankee uniform, but it's just the way it is. And when you get a guy like Garrit Cole, you're going to give him like $324 million to, and you're giving all these millions, you're giving like $12 million to Brett Gardner, and it's just someday you're going to have to give a boatload of money to Aaron Judge. You need cash, you need money, and if you to sell your soul a little bit by putting the Nike logo on to get cash from Nike to do it, so be it. It's just part of the game. I'd rather have an awesome Yankee team with the logo versus a team that's not as good because they wouldn't spend money on a guy like Cole. So it's just part of the times. Now, the first off-season episode this year, we featured Roger Maris, who I guess every Yankee fan would know, even people not Yankees fan would know. But you ever look back at some old baseball cards or look at some old video, and you kind of go, "Oh yeah, I remember that guy." So we're gonna give a list of old Yankees where you would go, "Oh yeah, I remember that guy." Scott Kamenicki, remember that guy? Now, not much a great, a career 53 and 59 as a starting pitcher, but with the Yankees, came up in 1991. His career would go for about 9 years, ended up, 2000 with the Cleveland Indians. As for the Yankees, first couple of seasons, bounced around up, down between being a starter, being a bullpen guy, but it really wasn't until 94 where he kind of established that, yeah, he would be a starter. Now, nothing great like that. Obviously, 94 season cut short. And 95, that's kind of became like, a number 3 and number 4 type starter for the Yankees. Again, nothing big to sneeze at, but, the Yankees rotation wasn't that great back then. So, when it came to the playoffs, probably his career highlight will be, the ALDS that season when the Yankees played the Seattle Mariners. He started Game 4, wasn't great at all, kind of a microcosm of his whole career. Gave up 5 runs in 5 innings. The Yankees would go on to lose that game as well as lose the series to the Seattle Mariners. Now, technically, he was on the 96 Yankees team, but, early on, he didn't get past May, sent him down to AAA, never came back. So I guess technically he gets a World Series ring out of it, but wasn't part of the World Series run, had nothing to do with them getting the championship. So now a year later, he did go sign with the Baltimore Orioles, a 1-year deal, and had a decent season, 10 wins, not bad. But he never really lived up to any potential, anything great, and then he finally ended his career in 2000 with the Cleveland Indians. Homer Bush, remember that guy? Now he's actually 47 years old, which really makes me kind of feel very, very old. Now, he's actually a regular at the Yankees Old Timers Day. The Yankees like him. He's just kind of, I think some once in a while they have him come down to spring training, be, I guess instructors, like that. Now, he's what he was back in the days, what you would call like a pinch runner extraordinaire. A little defense as well, nothing, big flashy, but he had 2 stints with the Yankees. Now, first stint, he actually came over in 1997 in the deal with Hideki Arabu. Now, if you go back, the San Diego Padres were the team that actually bought the rights to Arabu, but Arabu refused to play for any team but the Yankees, so they were almost forced to trade him to the Yankees, so they traded him and Homer Bush to the Yankees. The Yankees sent back Ruben Rivera as well as Rafael Medina back to San Diego. Little side story about Ruben Rivera, of course, Mariano Rivera's cousin. Now, the Yankees would resign him back in 2002, but of course, he had that incident where, I think he took Jeter's glove and his bat and some equipment. He sold it for only for $2,500. I mean, at least he could have got more money for that. So, obviously, players were pissed off. They voted Rivera off the team, even though it was Mariano's cousin. A little side story, but back to Homer Bush. Again, not much power, only 11 career home runs. Now, he was part of the 1998 World Championship Yankees, so he got his ring there. But unfortunately, he didn't stay that long because then, again, another part of another big trade, him and Graham Lloyd as well as David Wells sent up to Toronto to bring Roger Clemens to the Yankees in 1999. So Homer Bush, a nice guy, part of 2 big trades, one for Robbo, which didn't work out, but one for Clemens, which I guess you kind of say it did work out. But again, he's a regular at Old Timers Day for the Yankees, so you do see him a lot. Catcher, Matt Noakes. Remember that guy? I do. Now, he actually got started off with the Detroit Tigers, where he made a name for himself, was a 1987 All-Star as well as Silver Slugger as a catcher. Came to the Yankees in 1990, stayed for 5 seasons, kind of a part-time sort of play with, split a lot of time with Jim Leyritz early on. In his 5 years with the Yankees, averaged a .249 batting average, cranked out 71 home runs with a total of 202 RBIs. But in terms of the biggest moment as a Yankee was catching Jim Abbott's no-hitter in 1993. Now, pretty much after he left the Yankees, was more or less done. I mean, he had a stint in the Mexican League, in fact, as well as the infamous St. Paul Saints. Did a little coaching. Then, once his baseball career was done, returned to his hometown of San Diego, opened up a hitting instructional facility, which still exists to this day. Now, funny thing with Matt Noakes, and kind of creepy as well, as we know with Yankee catches flying airplanes, Two of them died. Of course, we know Thurman Munson, Yankee captain, died in '79, as well as former Yankee Corey Lytle crashed into a building in Manhattan. Now, Matt Noakes almost had a close call as well. In San Diego, right, flying a private jet, on his way to the airport, but having some issues with the plane, actually had to land the plane on Interstate 15 in San Diego. Luckily, he was able to dodge any cars. No one got hurt. But no, the story gets more creepy. Now, that very same plane, Noakes later sold it to a gentleman who was on the same path to the same airport, had the same issue, had to land on Interstate 15. Same plane, same interstate. Unfortunately, that guy wasn't as lucky. Now, as he landed, he hit a parked car that was on the side of the road, killed the passenger, and overall, 5 people were injured in that plane crash. 1990, Kevin Moss. Remember that guy? Now, he was supposed to be the heir apparent to Don Mattingly, first baseman / DH. And when he came over to the Yankees, he put on a torrid home run pace, set records. I mean, it only took him 72 at-bats to get 10 home runs, which was the record at the time, set more records. Only took him 110 at-bats to get 13 home runs and 133 at-bats to get 15 home runs. So this guy was on a torrid home run pace, and overall for the season, in only 79 games, had 21 home runs. So you figure, this guy's a home run god. He's going to take over Mattingly's job. Unfortunately, the next year it didn't go as well. I mean, yeah, he finished the season with 23 home runs, but yeah, took 500 at-bats, and he only batted .220. So he didn't have the same home run pace in 1991 as he did in 1990. But probably his best contribution to the Yankees and their fans was that in right field, because he's a left-hand hitter, that's where his home runs would go. There would be these women out there what they called moss tops. So every time he would hit a home run, they would pull up their tops and jump up and down. Unfortunately for the Yankees and the rest of their fans, the women were banned from the stadium effective immediately, shortly thereafter. So that's probably Moss's great contribution to the Yankees. Fortunately, after that, 92 to 94, a lot of injuries, just up and down, never able to establish himself. Done with the Yankees after 95. Did have a brief stint with Japan in 1996, but was basically done with baseball after that. And as of now, for Kevin Moss, if you need his help, if you really need his help, as of 2008, he joined the team of Charles Schwab in his hometown of Castro Valley, California, where he's currently a financial advisor. So if you need financial advice, go to Kevin Moss. Aaron Small. Nope, not Aaron Judge. Aaron Small. Remember that guy? Now, he was a quintessential journeyman pitcher who had a brief spark moment with the Yankees. It would say a 15-minute claim to fame. Overall, for his career, pitched for like 20 different organizations throughout his career. Even had a stint up in Canada with the Edmonton Trappers. Actually threw a no-hitter in 1996. So there was always some of their potential for Aaron Small. Now, he was with the Yankee system in 2005 in their minors due to no one else being available. Came up for a spot start against the Texas Rangers. Debuted on August 8th and actually won the game. So I guess let's keep this guy around for another start. Kept winning. Actually ended the 2005 season with a 10-0 record. In fact, on September 3rd, threw a complete game shutout against the Oakland A's, in fact, striking out the last pitcher he faced. So out of nowhere, this journeyman pitcher, it became almost like a movie, was just a brilliant, amazing pitcher out of nowhere. Unfortunately, it didn't last. I mean, the Yankees did resign him in 2006 to a 1-year deal for $1.2 million. Tweaked his hamstring early in the season. Yeah, he came back, in late April, but never really panned out. And by June, he was gone from the team and gone from the Yankees. He did re-sign for 1 more year in 2007 with the Seattle Mariners, but he was cut by May, and then he was retired from baseball. So Aaron Small, a very nice guy. Got that one shot with the Yankees where he was king of the world for a couple of months, and then he just faded away. This damn January weather. I think I'm ready for spring training.